Hey everyone, it is Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the GT I played in this past weekend. I took my beloved Deathwatch and the Black Spear Task Force to play. I didn't get as much practice as I wanted. I was originally going to play Blood Angels because I have a lot more practice with Blood Angels lately. But after checking out the terrain and practicing a couple games on it, I switched up to Deathwatch. The terrain for day one, I forget which layout it is, but it's very open, very hard to hide stuff behind, especially when so many of these new detachments have uppy-downy rules or assault rules where vehicles and monsters and things get assault that can advance and shoot and all that sort of thing. So I thought it would be bad news if I did run the Blood Angels. I'd probably get shot up quite a bit. So we switched up to Deathwatch. I'm not going to keep you in suspense about how I did. I did fine. We went 3-2 over the 5 games. I'm very satisfied with how it went, considering I didn't get that much practice. I definitely have some things I want to tweak in the list because there was one big weakness for the Deathwatch list that I particularly ran, which was that I had a hard time with lots of big things. If the army was all big things, it was going to be a problem. I could kill some big stuff. But if it was all big things, it was a problem. So I ran into a couple armies that just threw big stuff at me. I'm going to go through the games kind of quickly, just to kind of discuss them briefly here. But yeah, I was happy with the result, though. The Deathwatch are strong. Even the opponents I lost to were impressed with how hard the Deathwatch were hitting and how hard they were playing. So yeah, it went well. A special shout out to friend of the channel, Zach. Zach did pretty well, I guess, because he went 5-0 at a 100-player event and took first. There were 3 undefeated, but his strength of schedule was the highest, so he took first place. It's a pretty big deal, especially with a tournament that size. So congratulations, Zach. Yeah, I don't know how you're going to top it for the rest of this year. I mean, that's January 5th. You won a major GT. I don't know. It's all going to be downhill from here, bud. So good luck dealing with that. Anyways, on to the actual list I ran. I'm just going to go kind of over the basics here. Of course, they have the Watchmaster with Thief of Secrets leading a 5-man Deathwatch Vets. I had one of the Talonstrike kill team with all plasmas. I had 2 of the Indomitor kill teams with 3 Eradicators, 3 aggressors with the Boltstorm gauntlets and frag launchers, and then 4 of the heavy intercessors, 2 heavy bolters, of course. I did have 3 of the Terminator squads. I ran 3 of the Terminator squads with 3 Cyclones in each of those, and then had a couple of little scoring units in there. Had some Incursors. The Incursors were kind of key suppressors, just to move around and do actions, that sort of thing. But yeah, so the first game I played against Librarius Marines. The Librarius Conclave detachment definitely has some play, but you have to really specifically build into it. And of course, one of the strongest things about the Librarius Conclave is the ability for that Stern Guard unit to pick up vehicles by kicking out a ton of dev wounds into them. If you're paying attention to my list, you'll know that the only vehicle I had was a Rhino, so not a very juicy target for that big hard-hitting unit. So my opponent, Robert, we had a great game, played very well, but I did end up winning that one. I don't remember all the scores. I don't think it's that important. I don't know the exact scores, but had a solid win with the Deathwatch. The Uppy Downies is really strong. Man, those Indomitor kill teams just chew through infantry. The 2 damage bolters and the 3 damage heavy bolters hit so hard. The Plasma Inceptors hit so hard. Just combined, they really wreck through infantry of light, medium, hard infantry, elite infantry, doesn't matter. That's the easiest thing for me. So I was able to chew through Marines pretty quickly because I was able to control my engagements. The whole thing with the Deathwatch list I built was the 2 Indomitor kill teams start on the table, along with a Rhino holding the Watchmaster and his crew. And then we had an ATV and some suppressors and incursors on the table. But 3 Terminator squads and the Talonstrike squad are all up in reserve because they can all deep strike. So basically, at the end of turn 1, and my opponent's turn 1, or at the end of the first battle round, at the end of my turns, I can uppy downy the 2 Indomitor kill teams, which means on my opponent's turn, Indomitor kill team, Talonstrike kill team, and 3 Terminator squads are all deep striking simultaneously in the same turn. Basically, drop 1,500 points on the table, and it's really hard to hide from that. The damage output on all of those units into hard targets is less than I'd like it to be. So I definitely need to tweak the list some. But just the fact that my opponents have to play around the fact. I don't make it a secret. I say basically what's going to happen is I'm going to deep strike my entire army on turn 2. There will be probably 300 or 400 points on the table. Everything else comes up or is already up and then comes down real hard. And with Tome of Exoclades, of course, I can put 2 oath targets and just be, and with the incursors tagging 1, shooting 1, and give me +1 to hit. It just gets really efficient. So yeah, first game was a lot of fun. Did beat the Librarius Marines. Game 2, I was playing in the Genestealer cult. I don't play in the Genestealer cult very often. There's almost nobody local who plays or that I've played into. I think it's been a year since I played against GSC. I've always thought their army is really fluffy. I love how fluffy their rules are. It really fits the army, but man, it's tough to play against if you don't know what they're going to do because, oh, this tiny little 65-point character, this Reductus Saboteur, is going to pick up 150 points of models before she dies because she does free grenades. It has a demolition charge. If you move close to her, she'll bomb you with something, and she'll shoot you here, and this is indirect, and oh my God. Again, I don't even remember everything it does, but it does a lot. And obviously the fact that my opponent built a really good list for scoring. He took fixed secondaries. So he took Cleanse and Established Locus because I didn't have anything that specifically blocked out Deep Strikes. And a lot of my army moves forward. So he's able to establish Locus in my deployment zone quite a bit. He used his bring back tokens to bring back small units for specifically for scoring. So it's not like he brought back big damage units. He brought back either 5-man Genestealer squads or 5 of the Acolyte hybrids. And he was able to do that with 4 different units. So no matter how fast I was killing things, I was killing things pretty fast. He kept bringing things back and throwing them on the table. So really just Deathwatch just killing so many Xenos units. And plus extra ones that kept reviving and coming back. We did end up winning that one. He was leading all first 4 turns because he was outscoring my own secondaries. But I basically cleared him off the table and was able to control all the objectives and, had a huge turn of scoring the last turn, so pulled off the win at the very end. So we did have a win into Genestealer cults. So 2-0. And then the third game was into the big demons. So someone brought demons. None of the new detachments, just whatever the index demon detachment is. So, of course, they have a great unclean one with a 4-up, feel no pain. And then we have Shalaxi with a 5-up, feel no pain. And just a bunch of the big monsters. I don't remember what they're all called. I hate them all. There's like 5 giant demons with 20 wounds and 4-up invulns. And the Deathwatch, this build was able to deal with a couple of them, but I just couldn't chew through that army fast enough for me to get the advantage on scoring. So he did end up winning that one, so the demon player won. It was a really good game, again, back and forth, but I just wasn't able to kill those demons fast enough. So I'm going to have to work on that with my Deathwatch build. So that was day 1, and then day 2, oh man, now I'm blanking on it. Oh yeah, so my 4th game, I played against Tyranids, and again, if it was a mix of Tyranid big bugs and infantry, I'd have a great time with it, be able to chew through it. But it was all big bugs. I don't think there was any infantry in this listing other than a couple lictors. All big monster bugs. They all have a 2-up save. Half of them have a 4-up embalm. There's a strat to give them 5-up feel no pains. It was an incredible game. David was the name of my opponent. We played back and forth. Had to play around with the Overwatch threat from the Zoanthropes and the character attached to those. And I was able to do a significant amount of damage, definitely put him back on his back foot. He did beat me by 16 points or so. So pretty close game. If I figure out how to damage big monsters a little bit faster, do a little bit more damage to them more consistently, it's going to definitely increase the chances of winning the games against those big matchups. And it is, in many cases, a big vehicle monster heavy meta. We got the new Custodes detachment with all the vehicles and monsters. Everybody loves Iron Hands, taking all the vehicles there. So I need to make sure I'm prepared for that. So an excellent game. Dave and I had a great time. We both agreed probably the best game of the tournament for both of us. And then my 5th game was into Custodes, just shield host Custodes. So we had some of the new jet bikes, a couple Caladius, and some Wardens coming out to play. Deathwatch are ready to kill those elite, impossible to kill infantry. Like, for example, Death Shroud Terminators or the Wardens. It takes a lot to do it, but I dropped, I was able to pick up jet bikes pretty quickly. The Indomitor kill teams are a strong Overwatch threat, just because all those bolters have lethal hits built into them. The heavy bolters have sustained, and they're 3 damage on the heavy bolters and AP2. Just means when you do get a hit, you get a 6 with them, you get that hit, you get that sustain. If it's nearest eligible target, you get +2 strength. And that was a key unit, a couple times in these games, was the fact that I was using the Overwatch to really pick up 150, 200 points with the models. Very effective there. So able to chew through the bikes relatively quickly with my big damage hit doing units. When it's time to take out Wardens, when they came out and showed themselves to me, I dropped in, I'll be downing the Talon Strike, the Plasmas, and the Indomitor kill team, and then I put anti-infantry 2-up strat on the Indomitor kill team. So the Plasmas are twin-linked on the Inceptors, so they're re-rolling their wounds, and despite the fact that the Wardens are toughness 6, and neg 1 the wound when being led by a character, the anti-infantry 2-up just overrides that. So all those heavy bolter shots, eradicators, aggressors even with their bolters, all wounding on 2s. And it took both those kill teams to do that because, when I dropped them in there, he popped off his 4-up feel no pain at the start of the shooting phase, but I was still able to chew through them pretty quickly. So I'm very happy with how they performed there. Did run into one interesting issue with the Deathwatch kill teams. Whenever you're playing tactical objectives and you pull Cull the Horde, well, the Indomitor kill teams and the Talon Strike kill teams all qualify for Cull the Horde. So in some ways, that's an advantage. If your opponent pulls that early in the game, or even turn 1, and you're hiding all your units and they can't get to them, that's a dead draw for them. They have to hold on to it, or either spend a CP to throw it away, or try to score it. They're kind of stuck with it. If you don't have qualifying units, then they can just pitch that. But I have qualifying units on the table, so it kind of forces my opponent to put them in a position where they're not going to be able to score it, or spend a CP to pitch it. Of course, the disadvantage is later in the game. If your opponent pulls Cull the Horde and those big units are whittled down, you're in trouble because it just says 5 points each time they kill a unit with that. So in one of my games, I had a single heavy bolter Indomitor kill team guide left and 3 guys from the Talon Strike. So all he had to do was kill both of those and pick up 10 points on Cull the Horde. Because it's a starting strength of 25 or more wounds. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're building the kill teams. That's something to be aware of. I didn't think of beforehand and became a big deal in the tournament there. So that's the tournament. Had a great time. Still some more tweaking to do on the Deathwatch, but I'm very excited about the codex that we have. Definitely not a lot of power in there. Just need to figure out how to deal with the vehicles a little bit more. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking with me. Have a good one, guys.